So, to those of you who are here live, as always, I appreciate you. And also, as always, there will be timestamps in the description below once the show is over. I have some trouble, but we should be able to start right on time at 10. So in the meantime, please enjoy this one song from Otis McDonald, which I will manually restart every now and then. I'll explain why later, all right? I'll see you soon. Ooh, right on time, baby. Give me a second. As you can see, I am here. Well, as you can hear, I'm here. Woo. We are off to a rocky start, I must admit. However, I have a good excuse, or at least I think I do. Let me just test something real quick. Good. So something weird really is going on. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney. Welcome to the SydStream. Glad to see you. Let me explain real quick what is going on. Hello, Darth Shady. Long story short, I ran into some technical difficulties, like with under 5 minutes left to go live. So it is... that's why I had to add a minute to the timer. And that's why also, well, the reason why I'm using the pink water bottle tonight is because of poor planning. Hello, Breck. So in short, the VLC, which is the program that I use to play the countdown music, it started acting all wonky all of a sudden. And I have no idea what is wrong, but you can imagine that when I've reached the point in my process where I'm setting up the music for the countdown, like it's go time right now. So what I did was I dragged one of his songs into Chrome, which is also behaving weird, but at least I could like play something without, even if it's the same one song over and over again. All right. Did I? Yes, I did everything. Now I did everything. Let me bring this closer here. Whew, what a day it's been. I gotta say, I was really hoping to go back to my roots and talk about pop culture. However, there have been some news stories which have taken over my attention, and I feel this is an opportunity to cover them. But I want to just talk about what would have been. So, for starters, Disney Plus started the Hawkeye series last week, which I'm watching. I mean, for now, I would qualify it as good, not great, but it's good enough to keep me watching. And I was hoping to elaborate on that show, but we won't have time tonight. One thing that I will say though, and I'm pretty sure I wanted to mention this when I talked about the Black Widow movie, but I forgot. The whole notion of women defeating men in barehanded combat. Now, one thing to keep in mind, which is really important to know, I've been a wrestling fan for the vast majority of my life, okay? I've seen smaller people defeat bigger people in choreographed combat countless times at this point. There are ways to do it well, there are ways to do it poorly. And Kate Bishop in Hawkeye has done it poorly many times. I'm a little disappointed on that. The other thing that I will mention before moving on to more serious topics is X-Men. I have spoken about this many times before. Okay, just a bit of context. I read a lot of comics and I also read books, and I found a nice balance. However, a couple months ago, I learned of the existence of a book which I deemed so important that I basically put everything on hold just to read that. I'd rather not say what the book is, but I'm glad I read it. And it created a huge backlog of comics to read, and put my other reading projects on hold as well. Now, I am now catching up in comics, and I am realizing just how the Hickman story of what's happening with the X-Men is really, really good. And I know that I would be completely within my rights to just start talking about it in detail right now, okay? House of X was published 2.5 years ago. I've said many, many times, I've urged you many times to read it. So at this point, if I were to just start talking about it in full detail, I wouldn't mind at all. I just want to emit a final warning. As soon as I figure out how to summarize what is going on with the X-Men, I will. Because the thing with Jonathan Hickman as a writer, and I haven't read that many stories of his, but I have seen this pattern. And it's so cool when he does this. When he does the exposition, or at some point in the story, he'll like skip something. And it's not a secret. He'll like say the following week or something like that. And whatever happened during that week, you won't learn about it until sometimes years later. And there was an omission that happened during and after House of X, which, you know, suddenly these characters just weren't mentioned, period. And over the last couple months, we've been starting to see what these characters have been up to over these last 2.5 years. and it's really, really, really good. And I'm excited all over again. So this is your last warning. I probably won't talk about it next week, but as soon as I have collected my thoughts, I'm going to go into the greatness that is the Mutants of Marvel, and that it has been over these last 2 years. So that will be that. Yeah, I'm gonna skip this part. All right. Ooh. Yeah, I'll mention this. Oh, that's true. I have to log into Twitter again. FYI, while I'm logging into Twitter, remember when I said that I was running into these weird tech issues? One of the issues that I have, which I will have to figure out after this stream, I can't drag Google. I can't drag tabs in Google Chrome. They're kind of locked where they are. So, in a desperate attempt to resolve that problem, I reset all the settings, and it kicked me out of literally every site I was in. Just logging in here. What? Well, apparently I forgot my Twitter password. Let me... Talk amongst yourselves. It won't be too long. Okay. The problem is I forgot how to spell. I am so discombobulated that I forgot how to spell basic words, but it's all right. Share your screen. I might have. Yeah, sure. Of course. Well, this part I can do on screen. The very, very cringe Twitter light mode. Where is it? Appearance. Where's appearance? Display. Great. All right. So let me just find what I wanted to mention now that I'm back in Twitter. Hopefully I won't have to log into something else before the end of the show. I'm gonna land this ship, y'all. I'm gonna land this ship. So yes, now that I'm back on Twitter, these will work. So yeah, I created a meme and I just wanted to share it because this is literally my platform right now. So y'all hopefully are already aware of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was like Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woman during all the sex trafficking and things like that. Her trial began recently, and this Omicron variant is the timing of this is very interesting. That's all I'll say. And I took the time to find an open source equivalent of the font that is used that was used in They Live, and I I got the chance to troll CNN today because they were tweeting about it and explaining why they skipped 2 letters. And I got to hit them with this thing. Forget about Ghislaine Maxwell. Be fearful. Trust us. Trust the CPP. Trust the government. Yeah. And this was the second time I made this. The first time was this one here, which, like, I called it on the day it was discovered. I didn't have the means to make this meme, but it's the same thing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. And speaking of that, and this will subtly segue into a story that we're going to talk about later. I do find it interesting the timing of all these CEOs and CFOs resigning. Now, I haven't taken the time to vet this myself. However, you know, if the CFO of Walmart hasn't resigned, actually, you know what? Let's do some real-time vetting right now. Wait, what was it? It was the CFO of Walmart. Let's do some real-time fact checking. CFO. Yep. Let's go into the news tab. Walmart CFO Biggs plans to leave post. Why did Walmart CFO resign? So this is vetted. So yeah, it's the timing of this is interesting, including Jack stepping down from Twitter as CEO yesterday. We will circle back to the fallout of that. But in the meantime, actually, let me see something here. Yeah, okay, things don't seem too choppy. I don't have anything too extravagant to load, so we should be good. All right, let's just go right into the first segment. All right. So let me just take a sip of water and then we'll be able to get started. It's funny, I don't have that many notes for either of these segments, but I still feel confident. We'll see. Jack Dorsey just quit too. Wait, which one is Jack Dorsey, Larry? First of all, hi, Larry. Jack Dorsey is one of those names that I hear a lot. Yeah, Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter. Yes. We will talk about that like right now. Oh boy. So Jack Dorsey stepped down as CEO from Twitter yesterday, and I gotta say, man, I don't even remember the name of the new CEO. I've literally learned of this person's existence yesterday. However, I gotta say, this is quite the move that he has decided to make. The first day on the job, this Twitter thread was published. Let's take a look at this, and we will discuss it shortly thereafter. Sharing images is an important part of folks' experience on Twitter. People should have a choice in determining whether or not a photo is shared publicly. I agree with this in abstract, but let's continue. To that end, we are expanding the scope of our private information policy. This is the tweet that this is the tweet that sparked much of the brouhaha, and it is so poorly worded. But let's let's read it. Beginning today, we will not allow the sharing of private media such as images or videos of private individuals without their consent. Publishing people's private info is also prohibited under the policy, as is threatening or incentivizing others to do so. This is basically doxing, so that was already prohibited. I can't imagine it wasn't. So let's continue. Whoops. Moving on. Let's unpack what this means. Spoiler alert, it's still garbage, but let's read it anyway. This policy update will help curb the misuse of media to harass, intimidate, and reveal the identities of private individuals, which disproportionately impacts women, activists, dissidents, and members of minority communities. Now, the funny part is, as far as this stuff disproportionately affecting women and members of marginalized communities, I have no trouble believing that. I'm sure it's true. I don't even see this as a controversial statement, quite frankly. Now, throwing activists in there, I think that is also clear. But, you know, there are good ways and shitty ways to solve legitimate problems, and I don't think this is how to go about it, but we will continue. Images/videos that show people participating in public events like large-scale protest sporting events would generally not violate this policy. For more on what is not in violation, read the full policy here. Oh, we will circle back to that. Don't you worry. But for now, let's finish reading this thread. To be clear, we require a first-person report of the photo/video in question from an authorized or an authorized representative. After we receive a report, that particular media will be reviewed before any enforcement action is taken. Context matters. Our existing private information policy includes many exceptions in order to enable robust reporting on newsworthy events and conversations that are in the public interest. We will take into consideration whether the image is publicly available and or is being covered by journalists, or if a particular image and the accompanying tweet text adds value to the public discourse, is being shared in the public. Wait, let's read this sentence again. I shouldn't have paused at journalists. So, we will take into consideration whether the image is publicly available and or is being covered by journalists, or if a particular image and the accompanying tweet text adds value to the public discourse, is being shared in public interest, or is relevant to the community. I think this is just poorly written, but let's circle back and read this part here, which, again, spoiler alert, it's not good. We will not read all of this in its entirety, but I did read it all today, and you know, often when and there's been a lot of this happening over the last couple months of some event taking place, sparking all sorts of outrage. And then when I dig deep and I look at primary sources, which I'm a fan of, I've realized, you know what? It's not so bad. These people are over-exaggerating, things like that. But this case is not it. This is just bad. Jesus Christ. Wow. Let us read the relevant parts here. So this is from this is the actual private information policy from help.twitter.com. Okay. So You may not publish or post other people's private information without their express authorization and permission. Again, like the parts that I will skip are basically doxing, which is what this describes. We also prohibit threatening to expose. Yes, yes. In addition, you may not share private media such as images or videos of private individuals without their consent. However, we recognize that there are instances where users may share images or videos of private individuals who are not public figures as part of a newsworthy event or to further public discourse on issues or events of public interest. Oof. So basically, the reason this sucks and the whole document has this kind of vague language in it. What is newsworthy and what is in the public interest and what is free public discourse will be left in the hands of a handful of people. And by that, I mean whatever committee inside of Twitter is responsible for this. And let me be clear. I doubt that many of these decisions are going to come down to one person's opinion. However, even if there are 100 people on this council that is going to determine whether or not something is newsworthy or of the public interest, 100 people is a handful of people in this context compared to like the totality of Twitter. Let's continue. Oh, yes, I will skip this part entirely. Sharing someone's private information. This is doxing. Doxing is wrong. Don't dox people, all right? Let's skip to the real part here. Sharing private media. Posting images is an important part of users' experience on Twitter, where individuals have a reasonable expectation of privacy in an individual piece of media. We believe they should be able to determine whether or not it is shared. I hate this. Let me circle back to this later. Sharing such media could potentially violate users' privacy and may lead to emotional or physical harm. When we are notified by individuals depicted or their authorized representative that they did not consent to having media shared, we will remove the media. This policy is not applicable to public figures. By the way, Tim Pool did a shitty ass job of covering this in his segment because he used himself as an example of, hey, well, sometimes people share things of me and that causes emotional harm. You're a public figure, man. I remember watching his segment. I said, did you even read this? Out loud, I said that. So let us clarify what is and isn't a violation of this policy. This is the interesting part. Under this policy, you can't share the following types of private information without the... okay, yes, so address, doxing. The following behaviors is also not... okay, threatening to doxing. What is not a violation of this policy? Okay, this is still in relation to doxing, but I will just skim it. Like, basically, if I share my own private information or sharing, okay, information that isn't considered private is like your name, your birth date and age, place of education, your job, descriptions of your physical appearance. Darth Shady has green hair. What else? Gossip, rumors, accusations, yada, yada, yada. Here's the fun part. For media, the following are not in violation of our policy. The media is publicly available or is being covered by mainstream media. God, I wish I had an echo sound effect, but yeah, that... I think I groaned out loud the first time that I read this. Let's continue anyway. The media and accompanying tweet text adds value to the public discourse or are shared in public interest. Again, this is going to be left in the hands of a handful of people. It contains eyewitness accounts or on-the-ground reports from developing events. What else? The subject of the media is a public figure. Yes. So who can report violations of this policy, it's basically the person being depicted. Anyone can report private information that has been shared. Again, this is doxing. Here it is. When reporting private media, we need a first-person report in order to make the determination that the image or video has been shared without their permission. We accept reports from individuals depicted or their authorized representatives, such as parents, lawyers, legal representative. And then informations on how to complain, basically. I don't remember reading this section. What happens if you violate the policy? Sharing private media. If you violate this policy by sharing private media of an individual without their consent, we will require you to remove the content and temporarily lock your account while you remove the media. Woo! If you report that your account was suspended in error, you can submit an appeal. Okay, so here's why this is cringe, okay? I think the problem of, having a depiction of you shared without your consent is legitimate. However, this is the part which I fucking can't stand. There are places where you have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and there are places where you don't. So if someone were... Oh, here's an example. Let's say that I'm standing in front of one of my windows and someone takes a picture of me without me noticing. Now, if that picture got shared, I do, even though I'm standing in front of one of my windows, I think there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. You know, okay, sometimes a neighbor will walk by, things like that. But if some fucking paparazzi reporter snaps my photo, I don't think that's cool. And having the ability to yank that from Twitter, I can see the appeal to that. However, if I'm in public, it's like overhearing a conversation, and it's ridiculous that once you leave your home, that basically the only people who can share pictures of you on Twitter are journalists or mainstream media people. This is... I can't see this ending up badly. And as a matter of fact, I shared this, I quote tweeted this before actually reading the deepened policy, but this really cringe tweet was bad news. And let us read some reactions, actually. Let me just vet for porn real quick. Okay, let's take a look at the first couple ones. So you're making it up as you go. If it's taken in public, it's publicly available, full stop. Yeah, exactly. And there are high profile examples of this, which I thought of, which one of them is good, one of them is not so good, and getting rid of one will get rid of the other, and that's what I find absolutely cringe. It's an attempt to silence Project Veritas. I wouldn't doubt that, but I don't think the information of this is in evidence, if you know what I mean. So I would X-nay on the mind reading, Tay. So, I can't find any right now. This is the tweet that made me chuckle. This is my neighbor Felix. Yeah. I didn't know this picture was here when I used my kitchen example. Let's see here. Everyone is a journalist. The idea that only the liars hired by corporate media who act on behalf of the government are journalists is patently absurd. Absolutely. Let me give that a heart. So here's the thing. I can't find any right now, but I remember many of the reactions that I saw on Twitter to this earlier today were in the lines of, "Oh, um, police abuse are going to basically cops are going to use this to crack down on people reporting on police abuse." And is a policeman a public figure or not? I think that is. They're definitely public servants, or at least on paper they are. So I'm not sure how that would play out, but I think that's a really valid concern. Now, to circle back to the two concrete examples that I thought of ever since I saw this cringe. And again, one of these is if the propagation of these kinds of incidents was no longer allowed on Twitter, I'm not entirely convinced that it would be a bad thing, but it's, the collateral damage isn't worth it, and that will be clear later. So the whole subgenre of public meltdowns in stores, the infamous "it's ma'am," I can see how this person probably had a bad couple of weeks or months after melting down in this GameStop. However, a much more, how can I say this? A much more clear example of this, which would, if we stop people from propagating shit like this, we also prevent this. Y'all remember that dog walker who tried to commit homicide by cop, and called the police on the bird watcher in Brooklyn Park or Central Park? Shit like that would go down too. And I won't play the video, but this story went far and wide. Y'all undoubtedly know exactly what I'm talking about. And by the way, kudos to the guy for speaking out and saying, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't try to destroy this person's life." Now, he is more patient than I am, but yeah, the whole "there's a black man, he's a me." Well, she didn't literally say that, but anyway, if someone only had her voice to go on, it was as if he was on top of her, right? And to prevent things like this from being reported, to protect people like this, I think is collateral damage that will spell bad news for Twitter. Now, one thing that I will say, a principle a principle that I heard somewhere on the internet is that when you're the new guy on the job, or when you're first assigned in a leadership position, it's a good idea to make moves early to like get the ball rolling really quickly. Trump did that his first couple weeks in office. He got a lot done. Of course, people who hate Trump think that's a bad thing. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant to this conversation. The point is, he made moves, he made them quick. And Scott Adams depicted this as an example of, how it's generally a good strategy when you're the new CEO to just bust in the place and make it yours. Now, is this the way to do it? Well, you're definitely making moves, but I would argue that this is not going to have the desired effects, and I see two outcomes for this. Actually, no. Fuck. Okay, so there's one potential possibility is that they're gonna pull an OnlyFans and just change their mind in like less than a week. The other possibility, and this is more an opportunity, is for Twitter alternatives to become more popular. Now, I have spoken of I've spoken about alt tech many times before, and most of them are objectively inferior to the service that they attempt to replace. Gab is definitely not good, and I'm not even talking about the overwhelming presence of Nazis on the platform. It's just not as good as Twitter. I am blown away that Parler is as popular as it was before getting yanked off of all app stores. Parler is really bad. However, people who already had a platform and who could just say, "Hey, I'm on Parler now," for those people, it's interesting. But for like average schmucks like me and you, maybe not so much. So, if Twitter doesn't pull an OnlyFans and changes its mind in less than a week, we shall see how that plays out. One thing is for sure, I already know how I will adapt my behavior, so I'm not that worried about it. But I am very curious to know what you think, so please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. And if you liked this video, you will certainly enjoy this video right here. So tap on this card to watch that one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Damn, we're already 40 minutes in. I doubt we're gonna have time for Stardew Valley, but okay. I don't know what's up with my computer, but I will troubleshoot this like basically as soon as the stream ends. Let me go right into the second segment. Oh, but I will read some comments here. Hogla did an extensive video about this and he is not happy. So many legal issues as he sees it with the vagueness. Yeah, absolutely. Someone's photo bombs a picture and then asks to have the image taken down. Holy shit. That is a how can I say this? That's a really that's a really interesting way to interfere with someone's media operations, let's say it that way. And to answer your question, Breck, it's only Twitter. Man, if I was the CEO of another platform which allowed image sharing, and I saw the outrage that surrounds what Twitter is doing, I would be very hesitant to follow suit, you know? So, yeah. Okay, cool. Dutch Shady, you already answered. So, let me take a sip of water, prepare the next segment, and that'll probably take us past 11. Where is it? Great. Oh man, I don't feel like logging into Instagram right now. All right. Let me actually, I think I have everything. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, exactly. And I don't have many notes on this either, but hopefully it'll work out. You know, Joe Rogan, I think he gets a bad rap, but I think that he kind of does things that justify the criticisms that he gets. When I said that I think he gets a bad rap, I am specifically talking about how he has been considered many times in the past as being part of the colloquial alt-right pipeline. And people will cite the people that he has had on as guests, people like Ben Shapiro, people like Jordan Peterson, and how the pushback that Joe offers these people is minimal at best. However, on Saturday specifically, he gave a bit more credence, or he gave an air of credibility to people who have been calling him like some kind of crypto fascist. And I will share the adventure that I went on, because at first I did think this was cringe, but I did not expect the immediate reaction that there was to this tweet, this Instagram post. So as you can see, it's the political compass, and it's the meme of good times. No, wait. Hard times lead to strong men, lead to good times, lead to weak men, and the cycle goes on and on and on. Now, immediately, the fact that strong men is placed in the authoritarian right corner or the Nazi corner, yeah, I get it. That is unfortunate. Let's use that word. Now, let us read the caption. We are in the Kali Yuga. Actually, let me make this bigger for you. We are in Kali Yuga, the age of conflict. All of the chaos we're seeing right now was predicted in Hinduism thousands of years ago. Civilizations move in predictable cycles, and we are in the lower left-hand square of the chart. That's the weak men part here, the libertarian left here. Do your best to elevate yourself and the world around you from the madness that is in the air, but understand that this insanity is all part of an infinite process. End quote. And so far, it has 653,000 likes as of this recording. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was cringe and I moved on with my day. And then I go to Twitter and see things like this. Joe Rogan has gone full fash, not surprising to BH. I really like Dreamleaf's account for all sorts of reasons. I am amazed that she still follows me. But hey, I appreciate it. And this Dreamleaf's account, I one of the reasons I appreciate it is I think she's a nice barometer of what the online Twitter left is saying. And later, because my reaction when I saw this tweet was full fash, like, I get that it's cringe. I get that placing strong men in the Nazi corner is strange, unfortunate, but to go so far as to call him a fascist, I think that's a bit much. But I moved on with my day. Later on, I would learn that Socialism Done Left posted this tweet here, which goes into a bit more detail. So 500,000 people has liked Joe Rogan's meme promoting a fascist myth. So right already there, it's a little more helpful to people who found, just calling this fascism. If you're like I was and you found that strange, already calling it a fascist myth is a step in the right direction. So let us see the pictures that accompany it. So first of all, there is the post with his caption that we just read. And next there's this image here. I'm not sure where this text comes from, but let us read it here. The alt-right is making the Kali Yuga its own. The prominent alt-right websites feature essays citing South Asian religious texts and warning that Aryan prophets foretold the moral dysfunction and coming destruction of the modern world. On Twitter, Tumblr, and other social media outlets, semi-ironic memes calling on readers to surf the Kali Yuga circulate, sometimes embedded with Nazi imagery. Discussions of the Kali Yuga are part of the alt-right's larger strategy of appropriating exoteric and esoteric and often deliberately wacky vocabulary and iconography from other discourses. It has been effective by regularly denouncing such alt-right symbols as Pepe, oh Jesus Christ, Pepe the Cartoon Frog, groups like the Anti-Defamation League or the Southern Poverty Law Center risk coming across as peevish, paranoid, or simply confused to those who are either unaware of these images or familiar with them from other non-political contexts. And my gut reaction when reading Pepe the Cartoon Frog as an example of this kind of speaks to the point being made here. Now, I learned of this Socialism Done Left tweet from a Vosh video. I will not play it, but I will link to it in the description below. And the thing that was very interesting from this video, because I've mentioned this before, I don't watch Vosh that often because in the last couple months, whenever I would see a Vosh video in my feed, just seeing the title and knowing that it's Vosh, I've already seen the video. I know in advance what it's going to be, right? So when I noticed that Vosh made a segment on Joe Rogan's Instagram post, what I was expecting is, oh, okay, Vosh is just going to call Joe Rogan an idiot over and over and over again for 20 minutes. I decided to watch anyway because I was curious, like, in what specific ways will Vosh call Joe Rogan an idiot for 20 minutes? And I'm glad that that curiosity got me to watch it because I got some more context. And by the way, the Socialism Done Left tweet that we just looked at, I got it from Vosh's video. And in this, in the Vosh video, let me just open some more tabs here. Won't be too long. Oh, I'm glad all these pop-ups are off screen, so y'all don't have to suffer through this. Okay. So not only did that Vosh video show me the Socialism Done Left tweet that we just looked at, but he attributed the mythos of you know, good times lead to weak men, which leads to hard time, which leads to strong men, and the cycle continues. He attributed this to this man here named Julius Evola. Now, this man is essentially like one of the first and most prominent fascist intellectuals. Let's just read the first paragraph of his Wikipedia article here. Giulio Cesare Andrea Evola, better known as Julius Evola, was an Italian philosopher, poet, and painter whose esoteric worldview featured anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and the occult. He has been described as a fascist intellectual, a radical traditionalist, anti-egalitarian, anti-liberal, anti-demographic, anti-popular, anti-everything good, basically, and is the leading philosopher of Europe's neo-fascist movement. Now, if you look at the dates here, he was born in 1898 and died. He was born like just before the World Wars, basically. And yeah, he was 16 when the First World War took place. And well, when the First World War began. And he died in 1974, shortly before I was born. All right. So if you look at this, first of all, one thing that I want to make clear, and I don't think this changes the broader point that Vash was making. The quote of we'll come to that later. The quote of hard times create strong men, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a quote from Julius Evola. It was a quote from G. Michael Hopf, who was born much later than Julius Evola. Now, maybe Michael Hopf was inspired by this, but I've seen no evidence of this. I just wanted to clarify that. However, one thing that is for sure, Julius Evola was very into occultism and esotericism. Now, again, I'm not going to read all of this. However, during my research, there is one book that Julius Evola wrote that goes a little deeper into the broader theory. You know, he might not have said good times create weak men, yada, 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 but he did write a book that has interesting things in it. Let's say that. The book is called Men Among the Ruins. When was this published? Now I'm curious. Actually, I can probably find out from this article here. Works. Men Among the Ruins. So this was published in 1953, so right after the Second World War. So let us read the about section of this book, or at least what is... let us read what simonandschulster.com say about this book. Julius Evola's masterful overview of the political and social manifestations of our time, the age of decline known to the Hindus as the Kali Yuga. Y'all remember someone talking about the Kali Yuga? Let's continue. It reveals the occult war that underlies the crises that have become a prevailing feature of modern life. Includes H.T. Hanson's definitive essay on Evola's political life and theory. Men Among the Ruins is Evola's frontal assault on the predominant materialism of our time and the mirage of progress. For Evola and other proponents of traditionalism, we are now living in an age of increasing strife and chaos, the Kali Yuga of the Hindus or the Germanic Ragnarok. In such a time, social decadence is so widespread that it appears as a natural component of all political institutions. Evola argues that the crises that dominate the daily lives of our societies are part of a secret occult war to remove and support the spiritual and traditional values in order to turn man into a passive instrument of the powerful. Evola is often regarded as the godfather of contemporary Italian fascism and right-wing radical politics, but attentive examination of the historical record as provided by H.T. Hanson's definitive introduction reveals Evola to be a much more complex figure. Though he held extreme right-wing views, he was a fearless critic of the fascist regime and preferred a caste system based on spirituality and intellect to the biological racism championed by the Nazis. So basically, instead of throwing people who aren't genetically pure enough into gas chambers, he wanted to throw people who got too low of a score on IQ tests on their into gas chambers. Anyway, let's continue. Ultimately, he viewed the forces of history as comprised by two factions: history's demolition squad, enslaved by the blind faith in the future, and those individuals whose watchword is tradition. These latter stand in its These latter stand in this world of ruins at a higher level and are capable of letting go of what needs to be abandoned in order that what is truly essential not be completed. So this is the reject modernity, embrace tradition meme. This is pretty cool. Now, there is an excerpt from the book. I tried reading it. I fucking hate this guy's writing style. I will not subject you to attempting to read this out loud. However, I will, come on. I will leave this on screen for a couple seconds. Those of you watching after the fact, feel free to pause and torture yourselves within the attempt to untangle the spaghetti language that this man uses. Holy shit. I would hate to have to read one of this guy's books as part of like some project or something. But yeah, so the what I'm getting at is, yes, it might be oversimplistic to call Joe Rogan a fascist, or to say he's gone full fascist based on that tweet. However, when you look into it, there is something to it. So this, unfortunately, is another example of how just assuming that people understand the why, or that they can connect the dots, can sometimes be antithetical to getting your message across to people who aren't already on board. And I was somewhat subject to this. But the, how can I say this? If you've seen actual Nazis speak in public and get accused of being fascist and racist and things like that, a common defense that they use, and I'm about to summarize like all of 2015 and all of 2016, is the whole thing of, let's take Richard Spencer. If someone was to accuse him of being a Nazi, a common defense that he would have at his disposal is to say, well, the left, they call anyone they don't like a Nazi. What is this? And incidents like that make it it makes it easier for actual Nazis to hide among normies, and I always resent it when that happens. I don't think that I don't think it's fair to chastise people who were doing this for making it easier for Nazis to hide among normies. However, I don't think Joe Rogan's a Nazi. It's ridiculous that I feel I had to say that. But yeah, the fact that he's talking about the Kali Yuga and sharing a meme where the strong men are in the upper right corner here, that is cringe. So for someone who is already aware of everything we've covered today and more, this combined with this right here, those are two big red flags, and I can better understand the knee-jerk reaction now that I've had the dots connected for me, and hopefully they've been connected for you too. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, you will certainly like this video right here, so tap or click on the card right here to watch the next one. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Hey, that went well. I didn't, are they salacious pop-ups? Oh, no, they were not. I didn't read it because it would have been hard to read, but no, they weren't that shady. Hey, it's like 11:01. This is perfect because the show started a minute late. This is going to be it for me. I have a lot of troubleshooting to do, and I think that I will be able to release one of these segments. So y'all know what this music means. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know what else to add, but hopefully by next week I will have ironed out all the kinks on my computer. I love each and every one of you. Thanks again. I'll see you next week.